It's me, Paul Stewart. We got Bottle Washer Willie.
Hey man, how you doing?
We got Ask Izzy over there.
Hey, how's it going?
And today's going to be, well, it's Thursday because we just had to show you guys. We got new product. If any of you were around to see the launch on our website, our YouTube channel, the new 8380. So let's take the team. Oh, I called you Bottle Washer. I meant to call you Whiteboard Willie.
Chief Bottle Washer.
Chief Bottle Washer.
Yeah.
So here it is. You can see this very big speaker. If any of you are familiar with the 1238, you're looking at that cabinet size. But this is a complete new refresh design, round up.
Total tech makeover.
Total tech makeover. We have a 15-inch big bass driver right here. We've got these new port designs coming off the side here, and this big, huge waveguide with a coax mid tweeter. Yes. So, Izzy, would you like to come in here and give us a little rundown about what makes this new design so special?
Well, this is really innovative design. So we're kind of taking the best of two different worlds. So you get that main monitor level performance. You see this huge 15-inch bass driver. It's great to be flush mounted into a wall. Great for existing cases where you might have a 1038 or a 1238 size monitor. But we've also updated it with this new coaxial technology, similar to what you see in the 1 series, and also to what you've seen with our 8381, the big one. So we get great directionality off of this. And, you know, the front ported system is great. It allows you to flush mount. Yeah.
Now, you might see it on this fancy mount. This is not the mount that we goes with it, but it actually works pretty well. This is the mount that stand that you would use for an 8361 or the S360. As a matter of fact, we have it sitting on that plate. But yeah, and so this one packs a punch. This box gets loud.
Yeah, 122 dB SPL at 1 meter. So pretty serious.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's actually our performance in this room. We have really been enjoying it.
Yeah, we have.
So, let's zero in on this coax a little bit. So if you might actually turn around and go up to the 8381.
Yeah, step over there for a quick sec.
Yeah, let's go over here. So the design is very similar. The difference here is that the tweeter in the 8381 is a high compression tweeter, but this piece of the puzzle here, this 5-inch mid range, is pretty much the same as what we designed in the 8380. So we don't have a high compression tweeter. We have a very robust 1-inch tweeter that sits here in the center. So this is kind of a hybrid design, and works perfectly well for this application. Gets plenty of SPL, as Izzy was saying, and again, the waveguide is rather big, so the directivity index is pretty high. Good off-axis performance, either vertically or horizontally.
So it's really good for good size rooms. It's like a mid-size.
Yeah, actually, that's our first question is how big should your room be?
Wow, there you go. I mean, as far as the throw, the SPL, we could expect to see this in a mid-size room, a size about what we're looking at in here, maybe even smaller. I mean, this room is to the very back wall about 32 feet.
30 feet.
30 feet.
It's well damped.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is, I would say anywhere from 5 feet out to 10 feet.
And that's what's really amazing is the 5 feet part of it.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't do that with a 1238.
No.
You wouldn't want to anyway.
No.
But with this you could. So if you really wanted to rip your head off, you could do that. But also,
well, the coaxial nature of the mid tweet, even at close listening distances, you can't identify, the individual drivers themselves. And if you have a tweeter, a mid, and a woofer, if the speaker's too close and you put pink noise through it, you close your eyes, once it gets to a certain distance, you can easily point out each individual driver. But this coax design, any of these coax designs, they let you get the speaker closer if need be.
Right. But you see in Aki when they were talking about, the benefit of having, a box with high output like that isn't so that you can turn it up so loud, so you have the headroom.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that when you are listening at lower levels, it's nice to know that you have this dynamic range that can accommodate.
So I've got another question. Does mid to high frequency output far exceed 8361?
Great question, actually.
Well, I would say that far exceeds. I mean, once again, these numbers are averaged. So when you look at the number from an 8361, I think the average peak SPL is what, 118?
118,
Yeah, so this is 122. So as you average them out, this is going to sound louder. There's no doubt about that. But, insofar as does this get, I would say this probably does get louder than an 8361, but, not by a lot, but.
And it depends again on your listening distance, what sounds louder, and what you need. I know in the same case with a 51 versus a 41, that question comes up a lot.
Well, I mean, all of this stuff has to be balanced as a system. So if the bass driver can go louder than some other monitor that may have a similar type of mid-tweet complement, then this mid-tweet complement has to keep up with that bass driver. So when you look at an 8361, again, it's hard to say what's the weakest link in that product, and it would be very hard to say what the weakest link here is. There might be other products or other manufacturers have different approaches, but we have to balance out what the total capability is of the system itself. So, I mean, it's a great question, but I don't mean to be vague about it.
No, you're not, because it's a different experience. That's the thing that is always it's what it is that you're looking for, content that you're working on, and how you work and what you do.
Well,
it steers you in the direction to the product.
I think some people have asked the question, well, why do we go here? And I think you have to look back at the history of the coaxes that started with the 8260, which was a 10-inch with the early first version of the coax that we had, and that fell into the 8351A, which had the double woofered system with the coax centered. But since 2014, the company, or even before that, so that was 2000. When did the 8260 come out?
Oh boy,
you're
looking at her 2010.
2000.
Before my time.
Yeah, exactly. So the company's we've been circling around this coax stuff for a very long time now at this point, and I think the impetus to get to this product was we had the very big 8381, and we have things like woofer stands with 41s, 51s, and 61s, and so there needed to be something sort of in between, and this was a good box to do it.
And it seems like every time we have a new technology, that's what happens. It goes downstream, right? Like we had.
Well, sometimes it goes upstream, but
right.
In this case, this was the perfect size box to approach the market need at that point.
What do we got, Izzy?
I've got another good question. How about the signal processing? Any new features in GLM compared to 1238?
Well, we can walk over to the other.
It's almost planned. Did this person know they have our script? Whatever.
Izzy, why don't you go through the amplifier here, because that question points exactly to that.
Yeah. So the amplifier here, you can see the connections. We got power to standard IEC. I'm going to jump down to where we plug in for audio. This is our analog input. Balanced XLR, of course. Then we've got digital AES EBU input, and as well as the through. So if you're familiar with our SAM series, this looks very familiar. And then we have for GLM, the control network. So there's 2 Ethernet ports there, since we typically daisy chain GLM from one device to another. And then if you go up, these connections here, these speak-on connectors, are if you wanted to remotely install this amplifier, that's totally possible. You would use 2 4-pole speak-on connectors. One is for the woofer, one is for the coax, the mid-range / tweeter. And you would also run 1 Ethernet cable to the cabinet here in order to get that LED status.
And it comes with the faceplate. And what's really great about this, kind of understated in a way, but you can see from here it's vented on this would be the top of the amplifier, but it's also side vented here and here. So the air comes in and draws up. So spacing between amps, if that question comes up, we're going to answer it right now. The faceplate, as you can see, is, what is that, 3U high? Mm-hmm. And this is a 2U high amp module. So it's properly spaced to give you enough room between amplifiers already. So you have the ventilation.
There's 4 screws here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And so once you unscrew these, this comes off. There's a bag with the rack ears there. And then there's another bag with the screws. And so once you have this out, then this faceplate would get screwed on this side here. So if you go around,
you see the on button over here and it's green. Put you over there.
Yeah, so once you're holding that, once you've got everything disconnected and you've got the amplifier in your hand, then these 4 screws go into the faceplate of this guy, and now you have your screws here to be able to go into the rack at that point. And this comes with the packaging that's included. And as Izzy said, you can use 2 4-pole speak-on connectors, and then there's an LED Cat5 wire that gets connected as well. But we want to go back to the guy's question, or the person's question. This is a totally new DSP card that is similar to the ones that we use in the 1s and the 8381. So, this is going into the next generation of DSP processing. More filters and significantly more quiet. We've kind of skipped on that piece of the puzzle.
Yes, that's
besides going loud, it is ridiculously quiet. The self-generated noise technically is in the micropascals, and that puts it below 0 dB SPL. So, but I think we just you can't hear it. You put your head up you put your ears up to the tweeter, there's no self-generated noise whatsoever, which is a big, again, when you're doing a total technology makeover, there's so many check boxes and you got to get through all of them. So that's one piece of the puzzle that was quite a bit different. We kind of glossed over the port design. When you get down to the lowest frequencies, that's where all the sound is emanating from, is from the ports. And there is 0 chuffing from this enclosure.
And I think that's the other thing too, is that the waveguide is much more expanded because we don't have those ports on the sides. Right. So allows us to get more out of the waveguide.
So I've got kind of more of a general question. What do you think is the fundamental difference between connecting analog and digital?
I think that's the answer. One's digital, one's analog. The fundamental difference.
I mean, for one, there's simply the routing difference. AES EBU carries 2 channels of audio on a single XLR cable. So just from, a convenience standpoint, it may be easier to daisy chain a pair of speakers rather than do 2 direct runs to your interface. So that's one huge difference.
That's a good one though, because let's talk about that for a second, because that's the way our room is set up. And one of the benefits of that is that, let's say you have these as your main monitors, and then you have a set of Genelec near field 8331s or something like that. You could have them up on the meter bridge, and you daisy chained your audio to run your left and rights all together. So that simplifies and so you use GLM for your switching, and that's just another group selection away. So that's a simple piece of the connectivity. But I think the other thing is people ask, well, what sound does the analog sound different than the digital?
I think it may depend. Some people say they hear a difference. But I mean, both of them, you need a high quality source. So if you're running analog, we always recommend running balanced. And I think these days converters are pretty good. So depending on your source, you may hear a difference when you switch over to digital. But yeah.
Let's put it this way: both signals are going to go through the DSP because that's how we calibrate the speaker. That's how it operates. So you're still going to go through it. So you're hearing the D to A on the back end all the time. And how does that sound? Sounds great, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea is to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah. Well, the DSP card it's 32-bit floating point, and all the processing is done at 96K. Izzy was right. If you're running analog and the source D to A sucks, then that's not
There's your weakest link.
That's your weakest link. But inherently, if you have a really good D to A and you have to go in analog, and then you plug in a digital source and you switch between groups which are analog and digital, you might be hard pressed to hear a difference. It really sort of depends upon, again, what the material is and how soft things are being played. But I mean, these days you got to work pretty hard to have a bad A to D.
Yeah.
So
now that technology's moved on.
I don't think we're splitting bits anymore like we used to.
So I got another question here. Can you work without sub with the main monitor? So I think, can you use these without a subwoofer?
Sure.
Why not?
I mean, the 6 dB down point, I think, is 29 hertz on this box.
That's incredible.
Yes.
And if you got reasonable gain in the bottom end, you might be able to get some bandwidth below that. And again, this depends upon content. I mean, but we have customers who have had 1238s for years. I mean, what's the name of the place down in Brooklyn? Those people that had 1238s. Was it Brooklyn? I can't remember.
S5?
S5, yeah. They got 1238s, and you walk into that room, it's not a big room, but when they start playing audio, it's like, it hits you so hard.
Oh, yeah.
And you're thinking, well, where's the sub? And
there isn't a sub.
There isn't a sub down
Your
there.
hair
So.
shaking.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of reasons why you might need a sub other than that. You mentioned content, and that's a big one because how low is this content you're trying to produce, and what is the quality of that low end that you're producing? How big is it? How much bandwidth is or headroom is that going to take up?
Does it need to be enhanced because the customer wants it to be enhanced? Yeah. So I mean, this is really the answer to this question really belies in what you're doing and how you're doing it and who might be in the room.
And then lastly is what the room is doing, right? Because the room could be taking it away from you, and you're forced to put the speakers where you sit, right? Mm-hmm. A benefit of a subwoofer is to be ability to move it. You're not going to be moving the console in the control room window around to get, unless you knew ahead of time when you designed it. So there's always that to consider.
Yeah, and if you want to give us the specifics of your space, always feel free to reach out to us. Yeah.
The grade report, this is what we do all day, guys. We'll sit at the desk over here. People will share their GLM files, share their grade reports, and we review it and go over it with you. And the cool thing is that there's a lot that can be revealed just from that report without having to actually see the room. We can tell just from all of the different chapters within the grade report what's going on.
Yeah, it can be quite revealing, and then you do see a picture of the room and you're like, okay.
I knew it! What do you got for question?
I got a new one. Practically speaking, why would someone want to remove the amp, and what does this flexibility allow?
Great question. Well,
number one, if you designed it in such a way that the amp was not removable, there would be somebody that would call up and say, what the heck are you guys thinking? There are instances where customers just demand that. But if this goes into a soffit, the only thing that you would really have to allow for is some sort of venting for the amplifier itself. But it's all it's the bass channel and the mid-range channel are class D. The tweeter is class AB. But still, the amplifier itself really doesn't generate a whole lot of heat. But if it really had to be a tight fit in a soffit, then ease of installation probably means it's going to happen someplace in a rack in a machine room at that point.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a pretty robust amp. It's built to work for a long time. And as long as it's getting its proper ventilation, it should be good. One of the things to point out is that you don't have to go to the on button to turn it on. You can use GLM to turn it on and off as well.
Right. Yeah, so I think it really just comes down to the question that at least I've said for years is, what do you do and how do you do it? And the installation may just require that all the other amps are in the room.
Yeah,
so
put it in the machine room.
Put it in the machine room. You can run the cable easily 100 feet, if not more. It's just the gauge that you got to use. So the longer the run is, the thicker the gauge. So I always tell people minimum of 12 gauge. And nice, there we go.
Hey, there you go. What happened there?
I don't know, the
gimbal went dry. Oh boy,
Earthquake.
that was weird.
Yeah, so 10 gauge maybe if you get beyond 100 feet, but typically 12 gauge is going to work for all those runs.
What you got?
All right, we got a good one.
All right.
So what are the 3 best new features? Why should someone upgrade their 1238s?
Wow.
3. We got 3.
I got 3.
That's what they asked for, but I won't hold it to you if you go more.
Wow.
Well, okay, I'm going to give you one. SPL. Not that the 1238 doesn't go loud, but it doesn't go up to 122. So if you wanted to have something that had more SPL, there would be one thing.
I would say I think the calibration and the filtering, the new DSP card is a big, important piece of the puzzle. And I would weigh that electronic piece with the coax design and the new waveguide, because as I've been mixing on these things, and I don't have 1038s or 1238s to compare these two, but I will say that the sound staging on this box is really, really nice. It's very, very precise, and that comes with the low latency filtering. The amount of group delay through all the crossovers is literally 0. I mean, as you go through each of these crossovers, there's no bump in delay. So the throughput is constant as you go in and out of the electronics. And that means a lot for the soundstage itself. So I think I would say it's the DSP, and then the nature of
the coax.
Yeah, the
nature of the
coax
coax,
and the waveguide.
because it's again, the company has put the stake in the ground that we are now, the leader in coax technology. No matter if it's like a little 8331 or it's something huge like a 8381. We have this coax mindset, and I think that's going to continue for a very long time.
But the good news is they'll work together if you want to make an immersive rig with your 1238s, put those on the rears.
Yeah. So I think that's a fair question. Not a difficult answer, I don't think. I mean, the electroacoustic package is a big step forward, and that covers many different areas. So again, don't mean to be vague, but
No, I don't think you're being vague, because it's sort of like when the 1031 and the 8050 came out. The question then was,
yeah, why?
Why?
You guys are screwing it all up.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's just like, well, we think we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't, again, I think the 1238 will fade away as a very good product, but this is a better product. you know, and you can't say that with any reservation, you know. I mean, they had a hit list of things to do, and this is what they did, and it's clearly, objectively, it's a better product.
I'd like to more think that it's a continuation.
Yeah.
Because when you think about the longevity of that cabinet size and the 1038 to the 1238 to now the 8380.
So I'm going to guess, I'm thinking the 1038 came out in 93?
Yeah. So
I think in 93 or 92. I could be wrong about that. I mean, they had other boxes that were that size. I think they had a 1024. It was about that size. It was a 15-inch with a dome mid-range. Kind of had a weird angle on the baffle, but I'm guessing that the 1038 came out in the early 90s. So the 31, 32 were late 80s, and then they updated. They went to the bigger box.
it's always developing the waveguide, reshaping.
Well, it's you know, the size is a very, very important size in terms of market appeal, because I think one of the things that the 1038s often impress people, and there's lots of boxes that are, you know, from different manufacturers that are about this size. You know, I think it's often it's a stunning piece of the puzzle. I mean, I would say that Genelec is often known for how much low end and how loud any of their boxes go, even if it's like a little 8010 or if it's an 8020 or something like that. But when you get to a box like this, you can't really say it's a small box, but when you listen to it in a well done room, you're often stunned by the fact that it does hit you really hard, and it seems to have, you know, just you just keep turning it up,
Yeah.
and you know it satisfies all the needs for doing tracking and mixing and or anything else in between. So overdubs.
So we've got another question here. Bringing this into an Atmos setup, if you had the 8380 as LCR, what would be your recommendation for surrounds and for subwoofer?
All you got to do is look around this room.
80s LCR.
Yes.
So you'd want at least, it's going to be a room which is around this big. The room's going to be 20 feet wide. It's going to probably be 25 feet deep. And hopefully it's got some bass trapping around the backyard. Maybe it's 30 feet deep. Your distances are going to be 8 to 10 feet from the listening position. You're going to need 41s upstairs and probably 51s or maybe 61s on the sides and rears. I wouldn't do like 31s on the sides and rears, you know, because again, you know, you really have to remember that as you turn the volume up, the product which is the smallest, which could be given any amount of source level, it has to be able to reproduce loud enough.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you got all your horsepower LCR and you got something little on the sides and rears, well, that might work great if your immersive mixing is done at very low volumes and most of your content's up front, and you're doing only reverbs and stuff like that. But come on, every immersive mix is different. So.
Yeah, and I think too it's room specific. So like, you know, even using the Dolby Dart, which these are not in the Dart yet.
Yeah.
But you know, that's where you see a lot of the details because you're putting in the distances of how far the side speakers, the rears, the overheads are to the listening position, and it kind of tells you what if you're reaching that target that you put in, whether it be 80 or 79 or whatever, and let you know what kind of headroom you're working with.
Yeah, and for subwoofer, I think maybe similar to our room, if you're just doing LFE, probably a 7380 would do the job. If you're bass managing,
there would probably be if your room was well damped and it was big enough, there'd probably be very little need to do any bass management. In fact, you want that low frequency envelopment to be around you as much as possible. Yeah. And when you drive all of the bass energy to one location, that's a much different perceptual experience. Again, it sort of depends upon the stuff that you're doing and how you mix. But yeah, it's a good question. And I think, again, these are all sort of things like, it's really no different than when somebody asks the question, well, does this mid-tweet go louder than this mid-tweet? Well, you have to think about the same thing in terms of the speakers that you put out in a room and what you have on the front yard. When we had the 8381s up here with the woofer stand in the center, I kind of looked around and said, well, maybe we should replace these 41s with 51s. We haven't done that yet. It's just...
But also, my office is right over there. We're not turning it up.
There's a budget consideration. The speakers aren't free for us in this room either. Okay, so we've got to keep that under control. But it's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that we find is it's the subwoofer that is the one that you don't want to skimp on.
Yeah, well, that comes down to, some people got it in their mind that they have to be able to mix at 85 with 20 dB of headroom. That's not true, but again, if the client is insisting upon having something that has a certain playback level, then, that's one of the things that I would say that the Dart does not skimp on headroom with regards to whether or not these boxes go green, yellow or red. You put in a target level and everything else falls from that. Because the last thing you want is distortion because your system can't handle it.
I think we are kind of spoiled in this room in a sense that, we got all of these three-way coaxials all around us, and it sounds amazing in the immersive field. But to be able to just go to your 2-channel, to your mains, and have that as part of the system as well, and yet they can do something a little bit more in the 2-channel from this distance.
Exactly. And we've tried the stereo pair with and without the sub. Is there a difference? Yeah, there is a difference. The sub goes down to 15 hertz. These stop at about 29. So if the content that I'm listening to has, some strong fundamentals below that, then the sub's going to pick up on that. But I really don't feel like I'm missing anything if I just play these by themselves. It's just the way it is. Is there a difference between 81s and these? Yeah, of course. There's a difference between these with, the woofer stands with the 80s. That's just the nature of the box. So. But yeah, you can hook it up with a sub if you want. Just get a big enough sub. Yeah. Or two.
Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt. Any more questions?
I think that's it.
All right.
Unless, anyone else wants to chime in before we tune out.
Did we miss anything?
Did we miss anything?
Good question.
We ran through it pretty fast, but
we've been going.
Yeah.
Well,
somebody, did we miss anything? I don't think so.
Hey, if we miss, we just come back.
Well, right, and this is going to get put up on our channel.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yep, on Instagram on Tuesday.
So on Tuesday.
So it'll really be technical. But yeah.
Hey, well, for all of you though that hung out with us, thank you for sticking around, and maybe we'll get back to doing more of these if we find good topics and we get the whiteboard back up and you get your drawing skills back in order. You got to work on that. Okay. And Izzy, of course, great to have you too. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.